Hey guys, welcome to this live Q&A. It's nice to have everyone here this evening. So yeah, just post your questions and look forward to answering them as long. Looks like I already have a question here. I'll answer in one moment. Let me write something in the chat. Yeah, looking forward to having some people join um, in this evening. Thank you guys for being here. If you are watching, just post a comment about where you're from. I'd love to hear about who is viewing right now. And if you have a question for me, just pop it into the live chat and I'll just be going through all the questions. Let me go and get started with Monica's question. So Monica asked, 70-year-old suffering from nocturia, what can you do about this, Monica, right? Sorry that you're dealing with this, having to get up to pee so many times throughout the night. It's very frustrating. Um, so to answer your questions, and then I'll go a little bit more in detail about what's happening. Are there supplements that can help? Will a TENS machine help? Nocturia, it's coming from nervous system dysregulation. It's coming from overactive thoughts. It's coming from a stress physiology in the body that is continuing on throughout the night. So it's difficult for the mind and the body to rest, essentially. And because of this upregulated nervous system, you can have more bladder dysregulation, leading to pressure and the sense that you need to go pee to void your bladder, even if there's nothing there. So it's actually a protective mechanism that the brain is creating via the body. Now, you can do some things in order to change this. I've had a lot of clients have nocturia that no longer have it, or they, made some big changes in their lives. The mechanical stuff is possible. In terms of supplementation, there's not a specific supplement that I would recommend. You could do Google searches, or you could ask a naturopath or an herbalist, someone like that. And I mean, personally, I went down that route as well because I had urinary frequency at times. I also had pelvic pain, pelvic tension, a lot of things like that. Herbs were just hit or miss. Like I tried so many different ones. So I can't advise you just one herb because I haven't seen that to be the direct route to really changing this, but you could try some. There may be a type of a tea that helps relax your mind and your body. There may be some chemical interventions that happen from that tea. So you'll have to do your own research about that. When it comes to a TENS machine, that is something I personally would use when I had really bad symptoms. And more so when I had pelvic tension and pelvic pain, although urinary frequency was a part of my journey as well for sure. Um, I would use the microcurrent setting on my TENS unit. My unit could do TENS and microcurrent. Um, and personally, I would use microcurrent. I think it's quite helpful. It's a very low level of electrical impulse that helps to relax the muscles. So you can place two of the nodes on the bladder and two on the inner thigh or near the perineum, even on the glutes near the anus. You can just kind of vary it depending on how your body is feeling right now. And it can help to relax those muscles, making it easier to fall asleep. So that could help you, Monica. But really, the question is like, when you're having trouble going to sleep, or even when you wake up in the middle of the night and you're peeing, a couple of things. One is that what thoughts are there. So noticing what your thoughts are, and if there are any emotions beneath the thoughts that you've been avoiding and running away from, that's one thing. Another is getting into this habit pattern of peeing. And because it's a neuroplastic response, it's a neural circuit that has been strengthened over time. I was talking to my daughter about this a moment ago. She was like, not a moment ago, but a few days ago. She was like, "Yeah, I seem to pee pretty often, or I like to pee just to make sure." I'm like, I don't really encourage you to do that. Um, Wait until your bladder really is full to go pee because you can encourage your brain and your body to have this protective mechanism of, I need to void my bladder right before I go to sleep. I need to void my bladder right before I go out. I'm about to leave. I need to go pee just in case. Those just in case pees ultimately can create more of a linkage, leading the brain and the body to creating the sensation of needing to pee when there's heightened anxiety, when there's a heightened stressor, when there's some sort of discordance in the mind or the body. So ultimately, it's looking at these root causes, which is what I often talk about. Are there relational things happening, things at work, personality tendencies, or emotions that aren't being heard? All of that, really, Monica, is like the big needle mover to creating relaxation in the nervous system, which allows the body to rest and sleep more in a more balanced way. Hopefully that was helpful. Hey Edgar, good to have you here today. Thanks for joining us and for the questions here. Um, yep. So yeah, talking about infidelity, some of the symptoms after that, seeing that happen a lot of times. Totally makes sense though. The subconscious is creating pain or dysfunction as a way to help you work through the emotions and the challenges that took place, because we are mind bodies. We're not just bodies and then a mind and then emotions or something. It's all the same. It's all interconnected. um, okay, so you have a question about, you know financial problems that you're experiencing right now. Would you recommend starting a new job to take my mind off of this condition, or to do something worthwhile? Maybe this is the missing piece. Okay, well, there's not really a missing piece, Edgar, and I just want to point that out, that you have the ability to be in balance and harmony now, whether you're working at a job, whether you have money, whether you don't have money, um, whether you and your wife are on good terms or not. Yeah, I just don't want you to connect a specific external situation to being healthy. That's really not true. Now, I will point out, though, that often these symptoms can come up and they are speaking for our subconscious. So, what I mean by that is, in myself, I've seen this and I have a lot of clients who had similar situations. They really weren't doing work that they love. They weren't doing work that seemed meaningful. There was a subconscious conflict, a psychological conflict. Like, I need to, though. I have student loans. I got a degree in this field. I've been working in this field for 10 years. Like, it'd be insane to just quit my job. It'd be insane to do something else. I have bills to pay and my parents are proud of me now and whatever, all that stuff. Um, Yet the body's kind of screaming out because the mind and the body are in this situation each day where it's under a lot of stress and it's trying to be something that it's not, in a way. It's kind of like a turtle trying to fly with the hawks. It's like it's not a part of the hawks. It's not a part of the hawk tribe. It has its innate turtleness, which is amazing but different. Um, so yes, it's possible that symptoms can appear due to that. Now you mentioned though the financial problems, and you're like, "Hey, these financial problems are stressful," because they are. It's stressful whenever you don't know how you're going to pay for something. How are you going to take care of your family? How are you going to, make ends meet and just get by? Like, it's such a big question mark whenever you're in that situation. Completely understandable. The thing is, we do need to take care of life right here today, and also listen to our heart. So what that can mean, Edgar, is that on the one hand, like, create some clarity around knowing what feels good to you and what the vision is. The vision might be like, man, I love music so much, and it feels so amazing when I'm playing music, when I'm at a concert, when I'm doing a show, or etc. But in the mind, it's like, I don't make money from music right now. So it's not that you should stop making music or quit that altogether. It's that you may need to also have a different type of job, a way in which you can exchange your skills or abilities for income, while nurturing that greater vision. I highly encourage people to do that. And there's going to be a point where you can actually transition as well. That transition point for some is faster. They're like, screw it. I'm just, cashing out the 401k. I'm quitting my job. I'm downsizing and I'm doing what I love, and it'll just work out That's amazing. Some people would do that and it's cool. Some people, do a little bit of each. Um, it just depends on your life situation. But you know what I mean? Like, I get it. You have to take care of what you have right now. The thing about starting the job you mentioned is taking your mind off the condition. Um, starting a job isn't just about taking your mind off the condition, because if you notice your mind's on the condition right now, it's continuing to propagate it forward. Remember, with mind body syndrome, with these neuroplastic symptoms, there's nothing actually wrong with the body. There's nothing structurally wrong. And so the stressors we do need to contend with. So, on the one hand, you might think, if I just distract myself with work, I'll get better. Well, it may reduce your symptoms for a while, but it's not really addressing the belief system or like really what's behind it all. Now, when it comes to financial problems, there may be um, let's say, a belief or a feeling of, I'm the provider, I'm the one who should be able to take care of my family. I'm not worthwhile. I'm not worthy. I'm not really worth anything because I'm not doing that right now. And that makes you feel really terrible. That's actually not true. But you could have developed that belief system about yourself by seeing like your dad, who always worked hard and always took care of the family, or like considering, that's who I am. That's who I am. There's a lot of identifying with something. Does that make sense? What I'm trying to say is that you have the ability to be in balance and harmony right now, Edgar. And the question about whether you do a job right now or wait for something else that seems more worthwhile isn't necessarily the direct answer. It's about even seeing, why do the financial stressors seem to inflame my symptoms? What other stories am I adding on top? Does that make sense? Because for one person, they're like, man, I don't have any money, like, and then bills are due. I'm just going to go get a job and make some money. That's it. Someone else might be like, I'm a failure. Why am I working at Starbucks whenever I have a bachelor's degree in marketing or whatever? Like, all these other post-it notes that are being added on top of the situation at hand is all mental, and it leads to suffering. It leads to nervous system dysregulation. It leads to heightened symptoms, all of that stuff. So notice the additional mind layers that are being added on tops of things, and then just like get down to what's happening now. It's like, hey, if I need to get a job right now, I'll just do that. I have my greater vision. I love myself, like, still do things that are fun. Don't get a job that you hate or that's, like, terrible. I'm not saying that. Um, that was a lot that I just said, Edgar. I hope that was helpful. It's not like a really simple answer. Let me know if that was useful for you. Welcome, everyone. Thank you guys for being here for the Q&A. Please post your questions. That's what I'm here for. Um, so anyone else who has a question, pop it into the chat. And if you just have any comments even, I'd love to hear who you are or where you're from, or maybe if my work has helped you in any way. Let's just make it interactive. Let's have some fun. Awesome. Got another question in from Anonymous. I won't tell anyone who you are. How much do you think overthinking plays into these symptoms? I think it's pretty clear I unnecessarily think about my job too much and its flaws. Okay. Um, Great question. Overthinking. I'm writing a book. Well, my new book, The Root Truth, comes out in a few months, but I'm just kind of getting close to finishing it. And I was reading a research article on rumination and overthinking and how it actually upregulates the nervous system. Because in this particular section, I talk about that. And I'm like, well, you need to make sure I have some science that really backs this up. And there really is quite a bit of science that does back it up. Um, so to put it simply, overthinking, I guess it could depend on what the thinking is about, though, right? Because if you're thinking creatively and you're just having a ton of fun thinking about new ideas, and you and your friend are talking about whatever, and you're just like, and maybe you're thinking a lot, but the thoughts are expansive, the thoughts are free flowing, that doesn't necessarily correlate to an upregulated nervous system. It's more of when the thoughts are rumination, when the thoughts are fixing, figuring out, thinking about planning, constantly thinking about the next thing, what I have to do for work, what I have to do after work. Why are my symptoms still here? What can I do to make these symptoms go away today? All of that. Like, it's basically being a controller of you and a controller of life. That stuff is whenever you think about an upregulated nervous system being in, the sympathetic state, the mind narrows in, the conscious mind narrows in, and it tries to get something done. It tries to control the outcome so that it can protect itself and seemingly survive more successfully, which is what overthinking is, a neurological process that mirrors that sympathetic nervous system state. So, what I'm saying is that overthinking happens sometimes, yes. Getting a little bit clearer or being aware of when it's happening is the first step because that awareness is like, whoa, there's just like a thought storm happening. And if you are the thought storm, if you're totally caught up in it, man, you are going to be totally caught up in it for a while. You're going to think it, you're going to make it so real. It's going to become your reality. Your body definitely tends to. I mean, there are so many biological markers that change whenever you're in a state like that. So, if you can do a little intervention, I just did this 5-day nervous system reset on the YouTube channel. Try some of those out if you haven't yet. There's the sounds like the O, ah, E. There's this physiological sigh. Very simple stuff. There are other things like that that help you to pull yourself out of the sympathetic response state, which actually also helps alleviate that overthinking. You can even do chanting, like mantra chanting or humming, even humming, making sounds. It's really hard to think at the same time as you make a sound. It's fascinating. It's a really cool hack. I'm encouraging you to create more awareness and then also to use interruptions and then to notice what the overthinking is coming from. The overthinking is based in fear, it's based in an emotion. And to get all the way deep down into that and feel that, actually literally feel the sensation in your body versus just thinking about it. When you just stop thinking about it and you actually feel it, you let yourself pass it through you, and then it goes away. Some of us are very cerebral, very intellectual, myself, so I understand what this is like. And we'd much prefer to think about it than actually feel it. But the feeling is the way to go. That's the natural rebalancing back to homeostasis. And you mentioned though it's about your job. And you're like, the job's overall great, but it's got some flaws. And then the flaws are like being preferential, right? We're looking at the negative instead of the positive. So gratitude practices, literally each night being like, what's something I'm grateful for today? Or just noticing in a moment where there's a challenge, but also the positivity. And that's just kind of a mindset shift, more opening your heart to life, right? And more could be said there. But um, yeah, hopefully that was helpful. I could add some more a little bit later if need be. Yeah, so everyone post your questions. Yep, Edgar mentioned something else. Would you say that fear is the main force that keeps the symptoms going as per Alan Gordon, Dan Buglio? Others focus more on the emotional work, the traumas. That's a really great question. Um, it's yes and right. I'm not someone that likes to exclude things. I think that it's both. Really, fear is not just happening consciously, right, but subconsciously, and it's actually like in the physiology, the autonomic nervous system. But where's that fear coming from? That's where we have the connection between the two. Fear comes from past patterning, from traumas, from previous molding that took place to your nervous system, your brain, your emotions, etc. That's why one person who's exposed to a snake when they're 3 years old in a positive way, like there's this snake and it's like happy and there's like they're playing with it and they could develop a positive association with snakes. Another could have a snake bite them when they're a little kid, maybe even 2, 3 years old, and they have a tremendous fear. Like, that snake isn't a good example because most people have fear on snakes. I'm thinking about something like water, though. There are stories of kids who actually almost drowned when they were 2 or 3, and they're extremely scared to get in water, like, "I do not wanna swim," and they don't even know why when they're adults, but it's because of, a memory in the body, you could say. It's a memory that's stored somatically. What I'm trying to say, Edgar, is that it's both things, um, but the fear isn't random. The fear typically has some sort of basis. So if we could go back to the trauma, the inception point, the belief system, um, where that's coming from, and not necessarily try to mentally understand it, but become aware of it, shine a light of awareness on it, experience it and feel it, we'll be able to let it go because we'll disidentify from it and see the lie that was inside of that fear. The lie was something else. So yeah, I think that will really bring both together quite well. Yep. Oh, thank you, Anonymous. I'm glad that that was helpful for you. Hope that made sense, Edgar. Hope we have some new viewers here right now. If you guys have questions for me, we're having a good chat here. So I'll answer some more questions. If we don't have questions, I'll just wrap up and go eat dinner or something. But I have more time here. So let me know. Um, by the way, guys, if you didn't know, let me grab something. I have full programs, the Overcome program, the Vigor program literally guides you through all of this, has all of the tools. I coach you for 6 months. It works really well. We have a 90% recovery rate for people who do the entire Overcome program. Not everyone does the entire Overcome program, but some people do. It's 12 weeks. It's just about following through. We see when I say recovery, it's significant positive symptom improvement. Um, but that program, by the way, just put it in the chat, Overcome, the Vigor program, which is for pre-Jack ED, they're $125 off right now. You also get an advance copy of my upcoming book, The Root Truth, right now before anyone else reads it. So, yeah, it's the Healing Happens Now event. I want to help as many people to heal this year in 2025. This is literally why I do this work. The YouTube videos, these things are really helpful, but the immersive program gives you a week by week path that takes you through it. Is really nice. And also, I'm there to answer your questions, give you support all the way through, and actually for 3 months after, because you get 6 months of coaching support. So just wanted to mention it, that that's going on. Guys, if you have questions, if you've got comments, if you've got emojis even, I'll take emojis. Take emojis. Let me throw one out at you guys. Um, you know, so no rush at all at this point. I'm just hanging out. If you have a question, drop it in the chat. This is what I'm here for tonight. Oh, Edgar's got another question. Well, Edgar, no one else had any questions, so let's go. Um, is stretching required? Is it recommended if it's clearly neuroplastic pain? Or is it more like a soothing activity to regulate the nervous system, not a fixing activity? Extremely good question and very well phrased. You obviously have a very good understanding of how this works. It's what you said, because if it's clearly a neuroplastic pain or dysfunction in the pelvic floor or other parts of the body, stretching is soothing. Um, it can regulate the nervous system. The slow movements, the deep breathing, the presence somatically is good for the nervous system. It does increase flexibility and flow and can help tangibly, biomechanically break up muscle tension and create that fluidity and suppleness in the musculature, which is nice. But as you know, even if, because if it's neuroplastic and you've identified that, the brain is ultimately creating the bracing, the guarding patterns of pain and dysfunction and tension. So even if we do break it up and we have a really great stretch session or we have a great body work session, we notice sometimes our symptoms will go down, but then they'll come back. So at the end of the day, stretching is not required for something that you found to be neuroplastic pain or dysfunction. It can feel good though. I don't recommend that people do a specific thing. Like you absolutely have to do these pelvic floor stretches every week for months to get better. However, do have a balanced body. If someone is just lifting weights a specific way and they're never stretching, or they're only running and they're not working out their upper body, or doing some yoga, I just recommend balance. So it might be that you do some yoga or other forms of stretching, flexibility. You might be dancing, things that are really opening up various parts of your body. Super helpful. But yeah, thank you, Edgar. Hey, appreciate the emoji hug as well back to you, and thanks for being here. Back with another question, anonymous. If you guys have questions, got some new viewers popping in, pop them into the chat. Any tips to navigate communication with a new partner while I'm overcoming my symptoms? I haven't been with someone in 5 years. I feel like it's time to just live life. Yep, I totally get it. I'm glad you're just ready. Like, I'm just going to live life. I don't care. I get that sense of like, I really want to be ready. I want to be great. I want to be in great shape sexually. I want to be feeling good. I don't want to be embarrassed around people and all of that. Just go out there, be yourself. Don't be afraid, because if it's neuroplastic, if this is mind body, part of it is the things that are keeping you contracted are contracting you more. If it feels expansive and joyful and happy to be in a relationship, to have fun together, to like do that. And you'd be surprised also, by the way, at how compassionate and loving another person can and will be. Um, but yeah, in terms of navigating that communication, there's no reason to bring it up preemptively and be like, don't label yourself. When you're on your first date, hey, just by the way, so I have CPPS, I have pelvic pain, pelvic floor issues, I have urinary, like whatever. No, like there's no label. You don't have anything. Just in a moment, you might have a sensation. So in a moment, if you're with your partner and you're watching a movie together at your house, and or with this person you're dating as an example, and you're like in pain or something happened and like you're not feeling very well, say it. Don't hold it in. Maybe they're getting sexually aroused and you're just not really feeling it in that moment though. Literally say it. So it's just about having clear communication in the moment when it's needed. Like, oh, hey, actually my pelvic floor is feeling pretty tight right now. And maybe you have a conversation like, hey, this is something that's been going on for a while. I'm recognizing the connections between certain root causes, and I don't expect myself to always have these symptoms, but they're present right in this moment, and I just wanted to tell you about it. And they're just going to listen. So it's not necessarily that you have to have like a big conversation around it, but whenever you're experiencing something that doesn't feel that good, don't lie about it or hide it, because that is question. People don't really know what it is. They just want to know what's happening. And if the person really loves you and cares about you for who you are, they're going to listen compassionately. They're going to be there for you. You're not pinning it as something that's making you a victim. You're not using it to be a martyr. So, and seriously, oh hey Scott, good to have you with us. But seriously, like my partner, she is so compassionate. And if I'm not feeling well, and of course I have mind body symptoms that happen, and when they're happening, I mean, she's just really compassionate and helps me realize that I should love myself just as much. And it's amazing. And if you're with someone, because with my prior relationship, to be honest with you, there were many times in which that was not happening. And she essentially made me feel worse whenever I was already feeling terrible. If you're in that type of situation, love yourself so much to leave that relationship. Don't be in a relationship with someone who doesn't love you unconditionally, even when you're not feeling your best physically. So, hope that's helpful. And I'm excited about, to hear about dating and everything for you. Keep me updated. Um, we just posted a YouTube short about Frank, who I actually have a Q&A with Frank Friday at 1 p.m. If you guys want to attend, it'll be on Zoom. You'll be able to ask us questions and interact. And it was cool because he went back to dating after being fearful and having hard flaccid and pre-jack and pelvic pain and all the crazy stuff. And he's had some amazing experiences. He's had some great sexual experiences and so much fun. And I mean, I had someone in the community mention dating, I think like last week or 2 weeks ago in the Overcome community. So we see this stuff happening a lot and things really do change. They really do change. I know that sometimes you feel like, is it ever going to get better? Am I ever going to be able to have sex again like I used to? Am I ever going to be able to just feel good and enjoy life? It does. It shifts. We have to let go of the past. When you let go of the past, change happens fast. Scott, let me know if you have any questions. Just pop it into the chat. Guys, any questions, any comments, throw it in there. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's right. Mention it in the moment. Um, it's not making it a big deal because we don't want to do that for ourselves anyway. If we're like, oh, this is this big deal, it's like I've been dealing with this for 5 years, and it's like, no, no, no. Like you're labeling it. It's a sensation in the body. And yes, you might talk about the history at some point, and you might want to cry about it, and that's also fine. But that's adding so many mental layers, so many mental layers. When people start off by saying, this has been going on for 10 years and it just won't go away, and when they keep throwing time in there all over the place, I get it because I also would do that, but it doesn't help. It doesn't actually help. Um, Being in the present moment with exactly what's active right now. What's active right now inside of your mind body system. That's it. That's it. So Scott asked about shockwave therapy for CPPS. I personally never did it when I was dealing with CPPS. I've had a lot of clients that did shockwave therapy and they didn't necessarily see a cure or a healing take place from it. They ended up doing, my program and seeing more results because of that. So I don't know enough about it. I mean, I have researched it. I've talked to some of my clients. I have anecdotal evidence. It doesn't seem to be a cure per se. It might be kind of like some of these injections are. There are also injections you can get. They can help alleviate symptoms. You're not necessarily addressing the root causes that are dysregulating the nervous system and leading to that neuroplastic pain or dysfunction in the first place. So if you've already tried it or maybe you're considering it, maybe you want to do it. Maybe you do shockwave therapy. You're like, wow, this feels amazing. I'm getting better. That's awesome. That's really awesome. Maybe you do some shockwave therapy as you're doing some of the mental, emotional aspects as well, such as through our Overcome program or something on your own, and could be a good combination. That's really all I have about it right now. Um, Hey Jay, thanks for joining us here. Hey Adrian. So Jay said, "Do you believe hypnosis might help as well?" I think it can be a tool. I actually have, I believe, a couple of hypnosis guided self hypnosis practices on this channel, one or two. But and you could also work with a hypnotist to guide you through sessions. I've had other clients do that. I know people who have done it. um, for various things, not even just for pelvic pain and these issues. It can help to retrain the brain, some of the subconscious reprogramming. The hypnotic state, that trance state, can take you down to theta brain waves. And so that's going to help influence more directly the autonomic nervous system than when you're in a conscious directive. Right now, we're in mid range beta waves, most likely. You're listening, you're kind of learning a little bit. You're not in high beta, you're not like super freaked out, mid range beta. So we go down into alpha, which is like that creative flow state, and then theta, which is that lucid, kind of dreamy, right when you wake up, right before you go to sleep type of state, or when you just totally relaxed in a meditation or hypnosis. That theta state can be a good time to rewire, reprogram, potentially even uncover subconscious material that has been locked away. People have different experiences with it, but I think it can help. Um, I never really see one tool or modality to be the end all be all, like, perfect answer. Like, to be honest with you, just really quick, the most direct path to healing any of this stuff is what I call the root cause way. That's just a label, but it's relax the nervous system, be with what is, reveal exactly what's active inside of you by not doing anything, but by being aware, and then release. Releasing isn't you throwing it away, the emotion or the fear or the pattern that you recognize, but it's allowing yourself to fully feel it, like being rained on without running away as it passes through you and not identifying with it, and it's gone. Essentially, if you just keep doing that with anything that arises with triggers in your life, you don't hold on to anything through suppression and repression, and you're not afraid, you're not fearing fear. There's no reason for the mind body state to stay dysregulated. It's like an animal. It's like a duck that, almost fights with another duck and then it just parts ways and flaps its wings really fast. And then it's back to normal because it resets with that tremor response. It just lives life again. That's like that's like the in the quickest form. But these other tools can be really helpful too. Um, Yep. So, hey, Adrian. Um, yeah, great question about Dr. Sarno, the emotions. Can it create disease? Absolutely. I mean, that's kind of the main principle that I talk about, the root cause part of all of this. Those root causes can be different things, but emotions have the biggest power. Some people talk about trauma. Trauma is just the lack of safety in a situation that created an emotional experience that was too much for the system to handle. So it had to shut down in response to that. Yet it's still now stored in the body or the mind until it at some point is released. It's exactly what I was just talking about. At some point, that traumatic experience just needs to be um, experienced and passed through. So, yeah, emotions absolutely do create disease. I mean, there's a huge amount of research showing that. So what do we do about that though? And someone might be like, "Well, I don't feel very emotional. I mean, I'm in pain. My body feels terrible, but not emotional." It's not that you may feel an emotional wave in that exact moment, but if you excavate, just as an example, if you're feeling symptoms and you sit there in silence for an hour straight without moving your body, you just sit there. You're not even thinking, you're not trying to think. Of course, thoughts will appear, but you're not fueling the thoughts. You're just noticing the sensations in equanimity and neutrality. After a while, the symptoms change, first of all, the sensations in your body change. But if there's something that's beneath those symptoms, if there's an emotion that you haven't felt that's been active within you, if there are thoughts that you've been avoiding, they will appear. And then you either hide from them or you repress them or you allow them to be seen and felt without identifying with them and then they can pass through you. So there are definitely ways to release these emotions, to discover them. And some people may not think emotion, they might think fear, they might think trauma, they might think beliefs. There are beliefs as well, which a belief is a thought that is no longer thunk. So it's just something that you like believe is to be true now always. And so it's a filter, it's like lens, it's a lens that you see life through always. So you might have a belief that needs to fall as well because it's creating undue stress on the mind body system that you're living in. So there are various things, personality tendencies. Personality tendencies are coping mechanisms that you develop throughout your life earlier on typically, but it can also happen in your adult life. And you develop these so as to survive and also to distinguish yourself from others. It's a mechanism of the ego that allows itself to feel important and superior and different. So when you recognize those personality tendencies and how they're actually coping mechanisms, and they're not necessarily just who you are as your authentic self, people pleasing, perfectionism, um, fear of confrontation, putting pressure on yourself to always perform and succeed, there's a variety of them. But when you tease them out and you start to see them for what they are, you can disidentify them. So, Adrian, to answer your question, emotions are very connected, but I just kind of wanted to touch on some of the other root causes because not everyone identifies with emotions and they think, well, I don't have any emotions right now, so I must not be me. No, there are other things too. Um, Scott, great question. Pudendal neuralgia and males or females, I mean, it works the same regardless of your anatomy, from my understanding. So, pudendal neuralgia, there's pudendal neuralgia, pudendal nerve entrapment, and I honestly have to look it up again. There's another one that's even worse, essentially. It's even more structural. Pudendal neuralgia it's describing the sensation, this nerve tingling, the discomfort, also potentially pain, regionally around the pudendal nerve itself. And pudendal neuralgia can stem from a nerve entrapment, a severed nerve, a nerve, an accident, an injury, something very severe. That's a smaller percentage of cases, though. The pudendal neuralgia symptoms, these neuropathic symptoms, can be created by the brain even without a structural influence. I have a lot of my clients who came to me with PN symptoms who no longer have them. That's because they identified that their brain and nervous system was creating it without a structural cause. So it's the same thing as everything else, Scott. We take you through in the Overcome program, which is exactly what it's for. It's for pudendal neuralgia and things like it, CPPS. Realize what's actually happening, realizing the neuroplastic nature of this, and identifying, hey, do I have structural issues or not that are causing this? And then reprocess when you're experiencing the symptoms, taking the fear out of the experience instead of going to fixing and figuring out, like, oh my God, there's something wrong with my pudendal nerve. I have to get that fixed. Doctors just haven't found it yet. I've been to all the doctors, they're not finding it. No, the brain can create those symptoms. The brain has the ability to create all sensation in the body. Um, and then we go to release. So recognizing, are there root causes at play that are leading to, are there stressors that are upregulating my nervous system and leading to my brain creating these symptoms? And why is that happening? And then we have our last step called reprogram. So that's what I would do about it. If you haven't been to a doctor yet, it's good to get a workup and to get checked out. There could be a more serious nerve issue, although I won't get into that in depth right now. Um, in many cases, there is not a structural issue to the nerve itself. So, Adrian, great question about the root causes with CPPS and really all the other things I'm talking about here today. I just talked about a lot of them a moment ago, but there are different factors, right? Like your physical body does matter. We want to have a healthy pelvic floor, want to have a healthy body in general, meaning, are you exercising? Are you eating a balanced diet? Are you overworking yourself? I mean, because physical and chemical factors do affect the pelvic floor as well, but it's not typically the primary driver. CPPS is this activation of tension in the pelvic floor and pain. It's felt in the perineum, it can be felt in the testicle, it can be felt in or around the anus, it can be felt in the penis, various places. And the brain is creating this pain due to alarm signals that are going off. The brain is creating it because there is perceived danger. There is perceived danger that's real or imagined. So the subconscious is essentially creating a protective mechanism of pain due to what's happening outside there and in the world around you or inside of your mind. So that's one quick way to answer it. The root causes look very different for everyone. It can be, again, personality tendencies, it can be emotional, it can be fears, it can just be a huge amount of stress. It can be that you injured yourself and then there was fear around that injury, and that neural circuit, that pain in the pelvic floor, as an example, is persistently reactivated due to current stressors. So, like, maybe you actually had an acute injury in your pelvic floor by falling on your bicycle seat, as an example. There was real tissue inflammation, maybe even real tissue damage, depending on the severity of it. Injuries do heal, though. So if you're past the healing window and it's become chronic, the brain could be utilizing the neural circuits from that particular injury due to stress factors to create pain as a survival mechanism. It's kind of like, hey, I need this pain to get me out of this relationship I don't want to be in, to get me out of the job I don't want to be in, because I'm uncomfortable with these emotions. I don't want to feel these emotions. I'll just feel the pain instead. It'll give me something to pay attention to. So there are a lot of reasons why your brain can create pelvic floor issues and other mind body conditions. Thank you guys for being here tonight. I'll answer a couple more questions before I wrap up. If you want to drop one in, this is your time. It's your time to ask a question. Also, Friday at 1 p.m. Central, I'm doing a Q&A call again with Frank, who has had a great success story. He did my Overcome and Vigor programs. He was dealing with hard flaccid, premature ejaculation, pelvic pain. Um, he's an awesome guy to talk to. So he'll be there Friday as well. RSVP for that. Also, the Healing Happens Now event is going on. I put it in the chat. You can get 125 bucks off of my programs. You also get a free copy of my new book that has not even released yet. This is the time, guys. Do the entire experience. I know it's nice to do YouTube videos and to ask me some questions, but when you do the entire path all the way through, it's phenomenal what happens. That's why we created it. That's why over 1,000 guys, and we also have women as well, who have done our For Women program are using it because it works. So take advantage of it. It's on sale too. Hey, thank you, Alfred, for your kind words. It's good to see you too. Oh, I don't actually see you, but it's nice to have you here with us again. Let me drop in that link if y'all want to RSVP for the call with Frank that we're doing Friday. There it is. Q&A with Frank on Friday at 1 p.m. CST. Yep. Let me know. Also, if you guys have any requests for new types of videos you'd like me to make, or more tools, or I don't know. I'm open. I have, as you saw, the 5-day nervous system reset that just came out. I actually have, I'm going to be also doing this new thing called somatic shift. I'm going to be working with some of the world's leading somatic experts to help shift your nervous system state. So we're going to be releasing some really cool free tools on YouTube over the next couple of months. Scott, I'd love to have you do the program. So you can get the Overcome program. Definitely check out that Healing Happens Now link. I have it in the chat. You can read about it. You can understand the Overcome program. It's 12 weeks, week by week by week. There's a movement routine. There are mind body practices that you do. And there's a weekly growth work. The growth work is basically implementing a change. So it's helping you to go to the root cause of what's creating the pudendal neuralgia and other pelvic floor issues. And you just progressively go through it week by week. I created it with Dr. Brianne Grogan, who is a physical therapist. And yeah, I'll be your coach for 6 months. So you get to ask me questions, you get to give me updates. You're in a small group community where other men are there too, and it's kind of helpful to see what they're doing, to see their posts, to see their victories, to see their challenges. So yeah, I'd love to have you in the program, and anyone else. As I'm about to wrap up, voice is getting a little tired, but I'll answer a few more, maybe one or two more questions if we have any. Guys, any more questions? Any more comments? About to wrap up tonight. Yeah. Yeah, so like I said, somatic shift. We've got some more nervous system regulation practices coming out. My new book, The Root Truth, comes out in April, most likely. I'd love for you guys to read it. I think that you'll really like it. It has my story in it. It has the path, a lot of science, a lot of research. It's got the method to identifying. It's broken up into three sections: the truth, like what all this is, what's really happening inside of you; the discovery, what root causes are active inside of you; and then the liberation, how do you let them go. Writing a book is a lot of work, so I'm excited for you guys to read it. It's got 61,000 words so far. um, Statement: I've noticed that hemorrhoids aggravate the pelvic pain. Yeah, yeah, they can activate pelvic pain. Also, things like constipation can aggravate pelvic pain. Um, there are other factors that can lead to exacerbated symptoms. So you just want to do what you can to mitigate those instances of creating hemorrhoids and having other issues with that part of the body. I don't have an exact, you know, perfect solution for you today. Um, so we've got Gary over here, or Jerry. Jerry, maybe. Pain on left testicle, very sensitive to touch. No issues. Could this be related to pelvic floor? It's not necessarily related to your pelvic floor. I mean, someone might say that. It's really just most likely neuroplastic pain. So if there has not been a clearly identified structural issue, your brain can create pain in any part of your body. And actually, your brain creates all pain, um, which is just simple pain science, which I'm not going to go into that right now. But your brain creates pain for the purpose of protection. I mean, if you touch a hot stove, your brain nociceptively, there are nociceptors, and the neurons are moving your hand out of the way so that you don't melt your skin off. Your brain creates pain in your testicle for other reasons. There could be emotions, there could be personality tendencies, there could be an upregulated nervous system, and there's a reason why pain is being created. This is neuroplastic pain. This is literally exactly what the Overcome program is all about. This is the work that I do. So, is it related to your pelvic floor? Is it because your pelvic floor is tight? Or is it because you have a pelvic tilt? Is it because your abs are tight? There isn't necessarily a direct correlation to that. Someone could create a musculoskeletal theory around, oh, this muscle is connected, the cremaster, and it pulls up and it's connected to this muscle in the lower abdomen. And because of that, that's why I have pain referring down. That's a very complicated theory. I've had many clients with testicular pain that had no structural causes. There was nothing seen in any of their diagnostic imaging, and yet they did the Overcome program. They followed the path, to identifying root causes, relaxing the nervous system, retraining the brain away from fearful reaction to the symptoms, and their testicular pain went away. So that's what I've seen in my work. I would imagine you're dealing with something similar. Of course, I don't have 100% surety in saying that. Um, I haven't, I mean, I'm not a medical doctor or a urologist, and I haven't done a workup on your body, but I could just explain to you, Jerry, that that's what I've seen in the past. Guys, any final questions? Maybe I can answer one more. I've been talking a lot. My voice is getting kind of kind of sore. Yeah, absolutely. Hopefully that was helpful for you. Just throw a little smiley face up there. Okay, guys. So there are no other questions. Guess I'll wrap up today. Yeah, hopefully that was really helpful, guys. Again, healing happens now is going on. This is your opportunity to shift, to make changes. The full program experience is there for you. That's why I do this work. I'd love to help you become our next success story. Check it out. Otherwise, thank you for being here, and I'm so grateful I had the opportunity to help. You guys have an amazing night. Take care.